Welcome back to another ITESOFT Insider View. I'm joined, of course, by Stewart Griffiths.
Thank you, Rory.
Today we're going to be talking about collaboration in AP.
Okay, so thank you, Rory. So today collaboration. I think collaboration is so important within the AP function. I think we sit at the heart of the business. I think back in the day, AP was considered a back office function and siloed and just enclosed in its own little world. But today's AP world is totally different. I think we need to reach out to all. We do reach out to all areas of the business.
Right.
Departments and how we interact with those guys is so important. And I think the world of AP now is all around educating businesses on best practice, being that knowledge centre, being that service team where people can come and ask questions about their purchase orders and how they use them and what they should and shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time, what I found in my experience is that either people don't know what they should be doing,
Right.
or people don't know when they should be doing it,
Mm-hmm.
or people just don't know how they should be doing it.
Right.
And so all those things, all those elements fit into, well, how can AP show these people how,
Okay.
what, and when?
Yeah.
And
So do you think that there are people within businesses who maybe don't even know what AP is or does?
yes, yeah. I hear stories around people saying to me, oh, I've had this invoice,
Yeah.
stuck in my drawer for 2 months now, and but I've been doing you a favour because we don't want to pay this supplier yet, so I'll keep it in my drawer. And again, the education piece is for AP for me is give me the invoice,
Yeah.
let me process it,
You can
and
control
then we can decide when we pay
Yeah.
that supplier. But don't sit on things.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be open. Let's be honest. Don't sit on things. Just make sure that you give us, everything on time in a timely manner. And I think that's where the education bit comes in. I think there's so much that we can teach our businesses internally, and that's why I say AP sits at the heart of the business, because our mission is to make processes smoother,
Yeah.
is to iron out those bumps and those in our processes, and deal with the challenges that come day to day, and make sure that we know how to deal with those things, because predominantly the same things happen time and time again, maybe in the same way or they're different guys, and it's for us to make sure that we know really how that should be dealt with, and then make sure our business knows how it should be dealt
Yeah.
with.
So I guess the challenge now is not only do you want to explain to other people in the business or other stakeholders in the business how AP works and where they can go for help, but also help your AP team be able to help those people and also know how to help them, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail on the head there. I think yes, we need to be all those things. AP is such a I say important part, but again, people don't know how important we really are.
Yeah.
So it's a case of us making sure that yes, we do talk to department heads. Don't be scared to have those conversations with those people in those areas, and sit down and say, look, this is what's going well. This is what is not going so well. How can we help you to make sure that this improves? Because ultimately, the full circle is that AP will end up having the hit and having the issues at the end of the day, and and that whole supplier piece is where it all falls over.
Right.
And then get it right.
Yeah. So talking about suppliers, I guess one important part of the company that you really need to collaborate with is procurement.
Yeah. I think in this day and age now, AP and procurement are working so much closer. I think if you look at the whole sort of procurement cycle,
Right.
There's that whole piece around, well, this is what we want, and this is how we get it, and that's the procurement piece. And then for us, it's around, well, once we've got it, how do we pay for it, and
Yeah.
what are the requirements of the business to get that piece to get that invoice over the line so we can pay it. But yeah, working with procurement to work with our suppliers to I suppose help us to educate our staff,
Yeah.
in terms of what the requirements are so important. I think in my world today, I am knocking on procurement's door. I don't sit with procurement,
Right.
but we are working so close together now in terms of understanding what the requirements are, and and how we can manage our suppliers, and that whole supplier relationship piece, and then how we can pay our suppliers efficiently and quickly and on time.
So do you think, you mentioned you don't sit with suppliers, do you think that it's important for an organisation to maybe sit procurement with AP?
Yeah, I think that's getting so much closer. I think that if you do have a procurement part, if your business is of that size, yes, you do need to talk about from that piece where what the payment terms are, what the issues are around what the supplier's not doing right, what the supplier is doing well. That whole supplier relationship in terms of when they come in, when you visit your suppliers, when they come to visit you, what the conversations you're having. Yes, we are. I'm having discussions around payment and how quickly we pay our suppliers and our payment performance to our suppliers.
Right.
How quickly do we pay our suppliers? Yes, we are paying you on time, or this is why we can't pay you on time. And so feeding that sort of stuff, information back to our suppliers and working with procurement to improve that. Because then you can talk about the other stuff around discounts.
Right.
What conversations are we having around? We're spending so much money with those suppliers. What conversations are we having around those areas? So working with procurement helps you to working with procurement helps you to understand what the supplier needs as well, and having that whole management around that.
And is that sort of the evolution towards a P2P process or a P2P?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I think a smoother.
Yeah.
I call it the procurement cycle. A smoother cycle.
Yeah.
Is definitely a way forward in terms of working with procurement, working with our suppliers, having those discussions with everybody involved. Just to make sure that circle is as round as possible. Yeah.
Greasing the squeaky wheel.
Yes,
so
definitely.
Okay, so I know you want to talk about a specific project that you're working on.
Yeah.
Enlighten me.
Yeah, so in my business we identified an issue just around credits and how we dispose of, how we ensure that any credit that's due from our suppliers are asked for, and everybody's aware that we actually need a credit.
Right.
So the process is around how we deal with rejected items in our business, and just making sure that everybody knows what is going on. So, for example, I can't pay an invoice because there is an item that has been rejected, and when we find out from our warehouse team that there is an issue, it's a case of who else knows about this, and what are the dots, and who else should know about it. So when we have an issue with an item, procurement should be made aware. So warehouse are obviously aware of it, and it's how that communication piece flows within our business. And what we found was that communication piece is broken. So how do you fix it? And who do you need to fix it? And what can we use to fix it?
Right.
So at the moment, we had a paper-based system and bits of paper flying around. For me, I would love to eradicate, have a paperless world. But in every business is going to be paper, so documentation is going missing, or the communication, that piece of paper doesn't really reach what that person in procurement doesn't tell finance. And so for us, the project is around eradicating paper and moving to a more system-based process where notifications are automated. There is visibility within the system to understand what items are rejected and why they're rejected. And so for me, you need to collaborate with different areas, like I said, warehouse, procurement, finance, and then ultimately it goes back to the supplier at the end result to discuss how we're going to fix this issue or why this issue happened. But that's the end of the chain. But initially it's a case of, how do we communicate well within our business? And for me, the collaboration piece is the first. Let's talk about it. Let's identify what needs to be fixed. And let's implement those changes.
Right. I guess it's going to be easier to know when you when you don't want to pay for something before you've paid for it. So the quicker you can get that done without paper, because that we know that slows things down.
Yes.
Then the sooner that you can flag it up.
Well, yeah, because at the end of the day, I think everybody working in AP will say AP are always the last to know about anything.
Yeah.
And so why can't ideally you want to be able to get an invoice into your system, process it and pay it as quickly as you can. But if there's a blocker stopping you from doing that, what is it that you can do to improve it, and what technology can you use to help you to make that process more smooth?
Okay. Well, that's all we've got time for this week. So join us next week, and we're going to be talking about data and how that impacts AP.
Thank you, Rory. Look forward to it.
Great. Thank you.